Good morning and welcome back. Last week I posted a video on installing the gear legs, wheels and brakes, and it seems to have sort of started a bit of a chain reaction and as to the brakes in questioning whether the brakes, the way that I've installed it, are correct or not. Now this video is not one to put the blame on anybody, or hey, you guys are wrong and I'm right situation. It's I'm doing it because I'm in very much a self doubt mode, if you will. So the question is that, what's been raised is that the way that I've installed the brakes is as per the drawings, and Gavin came up first and said, look, you know, your brakes are upside down, and he sent me a beautiful personal message and video, and that he was wrong and I was right. But the issue is now that I'm in that self-doubt mode as to whether I change it or not. Brian's been in there as well and spoken about when they built the Legacy, the nipple was in the upper corner. So I'm just going to do this short video on what or how I'm going to resolve it. And let me go through the process first. There's two clear details on the drawings that Sonic supplied. Two very clear details. One looks like this, so that's the way that I've installed it. And the other one looks like that. So the nipple's fairly high. This is for the normal, when I say normal gear, I call a normal aeroplane with a nose wheel and main undercarriage. So an aeroplane with nose wheel and the Y-axis, so tail dragger. And this is the way that I've installed it. So let me just sort of clarify that I have done it that way to start with. The AeroV details that are supplied with the kit don't show any of that YX detail the way that I've installed it on the second part of that drawing. So detail 1, detail 2, let's call it that. They show it as detail 1. And that's for the normal nose gear aeroplane. So the question is, or what's been raised, is that because of the positioning that I've got the brakes in, it's going to be hard process to bleed. So that's the only part of it that's in question. It's not so much whether the brakes won't work in that position, because they're identical whether they go in that direction or whether they go in that direction. They still position on the gear leg identical. It's just because this is a generic part, and it just simply raises. You can put these nipples and the supply brake line in any position. It doesn't matter. It's just the positioning of the nipple that's in question. So first of all, I'm by no means an expert, and I don't profess to be one. I absolutely value those opinions from in this instance Gavin, who has been most vocal, and also Brian, whom his wealth of experience in his job, as well as his flying and building the Legacy. So I absolutely value those people. So what I'm in at the moment is self-doubt mode. And I'm not here to say that Sonics are wrong. I'm here to say that probably it might be time to to maybe change a detail, I don't know, or make it very clear why we're doing it a different way. So when I sent Mark an email through the week, again, this is not an attack at Mark or anything like that. I value their answering these emails, is that I gave him a photo of, on the drawings, detail 1 being the nose wheel version of the brakes supplied, and detail 2 the way that I've done it. His response was, there's been no issues with detail 2, so hence you're more or less correct. So the self-doubt mode that I'm in is that I'm sort of being steered a little bit and understanding where the guys are coming from about the bleeding process of these brakes. That when I install this in the aeroplane, it's quite clear that even though this nipple is in a higher position, the drilled out or the path of travel for the brake fluid has to sort of go up a tube and then over a bit of a hill, if you like, and towards the other nipple. It's sort of like an upwards V one way, and then a downwards V for the other way, if you will. So the only issue I can see with the bleeding process is that when the fluid comes down the tube, goes through the gear leg, and then up into the brake and follows that path, it has to go over a bit of a hill. And again, by no means am I an expert. Will the fluid break its volume around the actual brake line enough just to leave a constant air bubble in there? I don't know. So what am I going to do about it? I think at the end of the day, I'm going to leave the brakes exactly the way that I've done it, just in the short term, until I position the aeroplane on its gear legs, sitting down, because it's only going to make better the position of this. So at the moment it's roughly sort of on or around about this position, if you will. So you can see that the brake line is full, and it's only going to make it better. It's only going to raise that nipple up a little bit. Whether that's enough to help with the bleeding process, I don't know. So just to reiterate, I'm going to leave the brakes the way that I've done it. I'm not going to alter it until I put it on its gear legs. I'm going to have a second look at how that V shape is then, whether it's raised the other half of the V up a little bit so I don't have that great hill to go over. So we're going up with the brake fluid pressure, then all of a sudden it goes downhill, and that's where it might break its viscosity of some description and cause air bubbles. Don't know. I'm going to assess it then, and then if I decide to, it's not going to be a big process to simply swap these brakes around. It's not going to be hard to do, quite simple in fact, and I guess the only way I'm going to know whether it's bled properly is just I'll bleed it once and then try it again maybe in a week's time, and then if there's any more air comes out, well, you know that it's not successful that way. Anyway, again, I'm just waffling. I can't sort of make too many comments. Suffice to say that I've listened to those out there, and this is not an exercise in saying, hey, I am right and you are wrong. It's an exercise in what do I really do, and I think in this instance there probably needs to be maybe a little bit more of an explanation on the drawings why there are two different positions for these brakes. This is the reason you're doing it, and if you do it any other way it will cause you problems. I don't know whether the Sonics need to do that or not, or it doesn't really matter at the end of the day which way you put them, and then why provide two details. And the reason I've decided to do this morning, I wasn't going to, I was just going to leave it at that, and that I just finished watching Gavin's email on the Gavin's posting on the aircraft baffles, the engine baffles, the cooling baffles, if you will, and it was quite clear that a lot of the drawings supplied by Sonex haven't quite caught up yet with what we're doing, in particular the B model, and that must be in Mark's defence and in Sonic's defence, it must be a lengthy process to do all that sort of stuff. And just in closing, I see a lot of this in the building industry. We have architects spend months on designing a building, and then we as builders have to put it together, and there is a constant battle with conflicting drawings and things that we all don't see, like see the forest for the trees type situation. So again, sorry for waffling. I just wanted to get it out there that I'm in a little bit of a self-doubt mode, and I'll probably end up turning these brakes around. And it is what it is. So if you've watched this far, I thank you for it, and I thank those that have an input into what I've done with these brakes, and greatly appreciate it. I'll talk with you all soon.